All right, here we are. Number 2 podcast. It has a name now. It's called the Mount Lake Moose podcast first go round.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I came
like
up
it.
The Real Ramble.
Okay.
Is the actual
The
name.
Real Ramble.
Yeah.
But this is the new name, or it's just a secondary name?
It's I just didn't have the name when we recorded the first one.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're just learning all kinds of things.
This is crazy. My mind
so
is blown.
This is we thought it was going to be an interview with a millennial, or chat with a millennial, but we just discovered by our own definition, my guest today, Kate, is not technically a millennial. So we'll just treat her as such because it's really close and they haven't named the next generation yet. I mean, there's stupid names, but they're like the Generation Y when I was younger.
Generation Y.
Yeah, they just kind of made it up for marketing purposes. I'm Gen X, just barely, by like 5 days. So I cling to that.
You're on the brink.
Yes. And it's entertaining because it makes my brother a millennial, technically, which I just think is hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
So here's what we're talking about. So there's definitions all over the place about what is a millennial, what is this generation, what's that generation. And the one I figured it was safest to go with was the Pew poll.
The Pew.
Pew Research. They do they're the blue ribbon, gold medal, blah, blah, blah. The standard.
Right.
For
trustworthy
polls.
Information.
Or for polling information, generally speaking, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I figure most likely when you hear the news or this or that or whatever millennials say, this is probably the set of people they're talking about.
Okay.
So born from 81 to 97. Okay, so I guess I didn't quite. So they're counting it up all the way up to 1980. So I'm like a whole year and 5 days.
Okay.
So I'm not quite as much on the cusp.
Good.
Yeah. So and when were you born exactly?
May 21st, 1998.
Okay, so you're only like 5 months out. So you're closer.
Only 5 months short.
Yeah, we'll call it good. I don't know why they picked 97 specifically.
They should have picked 98.
The year I graduated high school.
That's crazy.
So, I don't know. What do you think of when people talk about like generations? Or, I mean, do you think of yourself as...
Oh, people hate my generation.
Just, so you when you think about generations in general, it's...
In general.
Mainly,
not my generation.
Well, or if it is, that's fine. I mean, do you even think about other generations on those terms? Or is it just the media yells millennials so often that that's all you think about?
It's mostly just, I hear a lot of people talking, I don't know, I think a lot of people think poorly of my generation, maybe more specifically like, that just like 2000s, I guess. So maybe not millennial, but whatever this new generation is.
Like the ones that are little kids now?
Yeah. Whatever is after comes after millennials.
You don't get a good name usually until after the fact. They have to be a generation before you can name them.
It's so not cool.
I am of the generation that we never got a name.
You never got a name.
No. Madison Avenue gave us a label and we were too lazy to think of our own, I guess. But like when I think of generations, the one I think of first or foremost is like the Greatest Generation, which, and I'm like a history buff and stuff, but they won World War II.
Okay.
Like
before 1928.
Yeah, like probably it would be like your great grandparents, my grandparents, and. Yeah. And I don't know. They just kind of, in a lot of ways, even I recognize that I kind of idealize them a lot. Like they won World War II. They defeated the Nazis and all this stuff. And you kind of just gloss over the fact that society was really kind of racist. And like, the role of women and stuff was, I mean, women voted and everything then, and during World War II came into the workforce.
Not very progressive.
Like, kind of coming back out of the World War II, it's like, okay, now go home. And then, a lot of them did, and that's where then you have the boomers who were their kids.
Okay.
Because everybody came home after World War II. See, right there, 1946 to 64. And everybody just had a fuck ton of kids.
The baby boom.
Yep.
And then what about the silent generation?
I think that's why they're called that, is because they weren't old enough to be. I guess they were kind of born from during the Depression and everything.
Yeah.
So a lot of them, probably their childhood was just horrible poverty, and
that stinks.
Yeah, because the 29 is when everything went boom.
Okay.
And then FDR was elected in 32, took office in 33, and stuff only really slowly started to get better from there. And it was World War II snapped us out of all that and made us the ridiculous ultra superpower and everything.
Yeah.
And then up to the Generation X, which is, the slackers, and I don't know. What do you think of Generation X, or do you even have?
Gosh. I think Generation X is pretty cool.
We are pretty cool.
Got some really cool, musicians and artists that you don't necessarily find anymore.
Who do you listen to now? I was trying to think of what new music I listened to, and I was like,
New music. I'm trying to think of stuff that you would know. That
I know we both like Rat-a-tat.
Yeah, I like Rat-a-tat. I really like stuff like Rat-a-tat. I really like Gorillaz.
Okay.
Yeah, Gorillaz, really, really good. One of my favorites. And my dad used to play a lot of Gorillaz. But Gorillaz have been around for a while.
Yeah. Who is new music?
Okay,
right now? I don't pay attention.
New music.
I listen to my Pandora feeds and...
Gosh, I just listen to so much stuff. I listen to some rap and then other
what kind of
alternative stuff. Kind of just all kinds. Not really hip hop or R&B. Kind of I don't
even know what those mean anymore.
I don't really know how I would describe
I was watching the MTV Music Awards back, I don't know, years ago. I haven't watched it for years. And there was the same artist off the same album was getting nominated in rap and R&B.
Yeah.
And it's you don't even know the difference anymore. MTV.
It seems like people my age kind of I don't know if idolize is the right word, but idolize depression or kind of glorify it. So it seems like that's what a lot of music has to do with.
Emo type.
Yeah, that's kind of what's cool now.
It is a little weird that all these bands were wow, it's like Weezer, but we need to be even more like that. And
it's kind of intense and
is that Death Cab for Cutie? That's one of those, right?
No, not really what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about I don't know. Nate knows a lot more about it, but there's an artist Lil Peep that Nate did a video for, and it's just very
Well, there's a whole.
It's a whole
There's
it's kind of a whole movement.
Weird underground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rap scene.
But it seems like a lot of people my age.
Underground new rap scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
just shout and one of the mics will pick you up.
It's just really different. It's just emerging just in no real
I do feel like genre is becoming a less and less useful term,
Yeah,
almost across the board.
I almost feel just music is just music, and it sounds how it sounds, and how can it even be classified like that? I get confused when people ask me what kind of music do you listen to? Because it's it
makes me think honestly the genres were more the record companies wanting to know how to section out the store more than any natural division that really existed.
Yeah.
And now that everything is so self-published, easy to publish, that you don't have to. This is my music. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Buy it. If not, then find something else. You don't have to apply the extra label of this is this subgenre or that.
Because it's how many genres can there be, and then you get really specific with those genres, and then it's 2 genres, and then it's
But if you get too specific, then inevitably people aren't going to agree.
It's just your own thing. It's just.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I don't think that genres are really a good thing to go off of.
No, And people don't even necessarily understand. Like, I remember getting in an argument once with somebody saying animation was a genre.
A genre.
And it's like, what? And they meant like Disney type movie. And even that's kind of like, not really. It's
really a genre.
It's a medium, you know,
Right.
like you're
Like
gonna
it's
tell
a
me
different
that
thing, but it's not.
old Warner Brothers cartoons,
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop, and Transformers are all the same genre.
Yeah.
Well, Cowboy Bebop and Transformers
Yeah.
maybe, but not really.
They're different.
Yeah, they're definitely different. Okay.
It's hard to group things like that.
Yeah,
Anything
it's
really.
interesting. So I guess when I think of millennials, I don't know. I think a lot of things. I'm kind of impressed to some extent that, I mean, their computer literacy is, and just digital literacy or whatever, is definitely way better than any previous generation. But at the same time, there's a lot of millennials that don't know crap about technology at all. And it's
That's
like,
me.
how do you not? It's like but you can use your phone and
Oh, yeah.
like,
It's true.
you know, maybe you don't know how to like do this type of computer or whatever, but so what? You know,
Yeah.
that's
No,
who
but I
needs a
think
computer
it's cool.
anymore?
And
I mean, I have one because I'm doing all this stuff and I
Right.
play video games and whatnot. But the average person doesn't, you know, you got like a Chromecast or Amazon TV thing or an Apple TV thing, and you got a tablet and a phone.
right.
If you're not somebody that actually creates stuff with your computer or
Yeah.
plays heavy games,
I like use my computer for homework a lot.
yeah, homework
Mostly-
or work stuff, but
Homework, and then for Netflix when I'm in bed. And
see, I usually
downloading
use
music.
my phone because I got Chromecasts
Really?
everywhere.
I just like having the laptop out. I don't know why.
I don't even have I have a work laptop, but I don't have my own.
I just got my first laptop this year.
What is
It's a
it?
MacBook.
Oh, with the new little extra screen. That one, the brand new one.
No, it's not the brand new one. I
Okay.
actually just got mine before the brand new one came out.
That's probably for the best
Yeah.
because the new one only has USB ports, and
Yeah,
that's it.
I don't know. I went to the Apple store today with my friend Stephanie. She's trying to get her computer fixed, and we waited for like 3 hours. I swear, it was like all day. I was in U Village, and then
At the Genius Bar or whatever.
apparently they fixed it and they
Okay.
like reset everything. And then she got home and texted me and was like, "Dude, it's happening again."
I have a Surface Book
Yeah,
from work, and it's basically a Mac hardware feel, but it's 100% Windows, and you can detach the screen, and it's like a super
Yeah.
iPad.
Honestly, Apple is cool, but fuck Apple.
Yeah, lots of people are feeling that way lately.
Yeah, my phone is a piece of shit.
Oh, I've never had an iPhone. I've had Android literally since day one.
Yeah, I've had Android like for a while, and then like all my friends had iPhones in high school. I really wanted an iPhone, so
Yeah, the iPhone came out first, but I got a G1, the first original Google phone, the day it came out. I got one,
oh, it's crazy.
and I've had Android ever since. Okay, so, well, we went off on like 6 tangents there. That was fun.
I know.
So we were going to talk about kind of just the march of technology and advancements in humankind and all that stuff.
Okay.
Before we started the podcast here, we watched some Kurzgesagt.
Kurzgesagt.
Kurzgesagt? That's better. In a nutshell, videos on YouTube. I'll post links in the description. If you don't know their channel, it is really awesome, and everyone should subscribe. They do good science videos with some real high-class animation and whatnot. But we went over fusion power, quantum computers.
Quantum computers, and
CRISPR.
The CRISPR.
Yeah,
It makes me
CRISPR.
think of like an Easy Bake or something,
Crispy setting.
like some Martha Stewart thing.
Well, hopefully that won't be the end result of the planet when we're done with all these things.
The CRISPR.
So
Not a good name.
I imagine if I talk to someone, and maybe we'll do this next week or something, but of a older generation, a lot of those things would be scary.
Yeah, it's
futzing
scary
with-
for me.
Okay, so
too.
you find it scary too.
I find it creepy, kind of.
Creepy. Okay.
But like something maybe we need. I don't know. I bet I don't. It's it's controversial.
So just CRISPR,
In my head,
not the others.
CRISPR is weird. Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah, it's like CRISPR is weird and all kinds
The
of
quantum
potential.
computer thing is like,
I admittedly still have trouble fully understanding the quantum computer.
it's really confusing.
Yeah, it's kind of there's that part in the video where it's just kind of the magic stuff where like we rotate probabilities, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's the tricky bit. I understand what's going in and what's coming out is how that's useful.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you get from one to the other. But so we talked a little about singularity and explained kind of roughly what that is. So, and the date for that keeps bandying about, but maybe the middle of the century is potentially the point where all this stuff is just going like we don't even know what will happen next.
Oh god.
And I don't know, what do you?
I don't know.
So
I don't care.
let's see. If I lived to be 100, I would be out in like 79 next. So that seems ambitious, but not crazy. Long-lived family.
Let's see. I would be to 100, and I'm 18 now, and
So it'd be 98
yeah.
or 97. So you would make it almost to the 22nd century.
Damn.
On that type time frame. So I mean, I figure I'll be retiring about all the time this all stuff is going down. So I'll be kind of checking out from day-to-day
Lucky.
trudgery. You'll still have a bit of time to go. Not a lot, but you know, not nothing either. Assuming that they don't completely screw up Social Security horribly. But I don't know, just what do you think of the potential for?
It makes me
Are you ambitious?
rethink a lot of things. I don't know. I think that like kind of anything's possible, and a lot of people are closed-minded, and not like anything's possible, but like there are things that are possible that we don't know are possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like.
Well, like to put it in perspective, when I was a little kid, the phone wasn't a little.
Yeah.
Stop! You're scratching.
Oh,
there.
sorry.
Yeah. It wasn't like a supercomputer that fit in your pocket. It was definitely not that. It was remember those old phones, like the default like phone.
Yeah.
It's like all
It's like a
chunky
brick.
and yeah. It was like one of those, but with a rotary dial, not push buttons,
Right.
and it was literally hardwired into the wall.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. And like, you would try and call somebody, and if they didn't have an answering machine, it would just ring and ring and ring and ring, and you just have to give up. And then you try it, and you would literally try again later, or write a letter, like in the snail mail. That was your other option.
FaceTiming. I like to
Yeah,
FaceTime
there was
my friends
none
a
of that.
lot.
We had no personal computers. I mean, like a couple people did, but they
Yeah.
didn't do much useful, really. I remember when we got our first VCR.
Right.
I don't know if we had a microwave when we were little. I don't think so. They were around, but I don't think we had one until I remember getting one, I think. But so like all that, you know, so the most advanced thing, I remember marveling like the first time we did a VHS tape.
The VHS.
Yeah,
tape.
like you actually rented the VCR at
my
the
gosh.
store, and it came in like this weird bubble plastic case thing with a handle, and you
Yeah.
plugged in your TV, and it was just like you could put the tape in, and like moving pictures on the screen were happening,
Yeah.
and then you hit a button and it would stop,
Yeah.
and you hit the button and it goes, and just that was like,
Yeah. I used to think that there's like people in the VHS tapes.
oh, that's
Like I would watch
Interesting.
Barney and I'd be like,
oh, he's inside the
all the
tape somehow.
characters are in the thing, and then you put it in and they go on the TV, and I didn't know, but yeah, that's been something that I've had since I was literally born.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah,
you've
it's
had
crazy.
DVDs since you were born.
Yeah, thinking about how much things have changed, just from some Gen X's I've heard from, like my mom and yourself.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about how much could change, like when I'm like, I don't know how old my mom is, but 46, 47, I don't know.
She was born I think she was like a tiny baby when we landed on the moon, I think, for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Like a tiny baby.
Yeah.
So, and now Well, we haven't advanced that much on that front for spaceflight, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we made it mundane and boring. I guess that's some type of achievement. But things really have changed. So now with the computers, and even more so the internet that works over the computers, and phones and everything else, and allows, like the stuff with the Arab Spring over Twitter is just...
I don't know about that.
Oh, the uprisings all across the Arab world in like Egypt and Tunisia and those. Well, Egypt they elected a Muslim Brotherhood guy, and then the military basically couped and took over. But we didn't call it a coup because then by law we couldn't give them money, so we made up some silly word instead. But it's stable again, which is all anybody really cared about. Tunisia went, I think, okay, but then there's radical stuff there. Libya fell apart, and it's still, I think there's ISIS there a little bit. Syria was another one that kind of got started, but the government held on. And that's obviously, that's still a giant civil war and everything. But it's kind of getting off on a tangent. But just that you had the ability for people at like the street level to communicate not only amongst each other, but with the rest of the world in a way that's very hard to stop. Like you have to turn off the internet.
Yeah.
But so much other stuff, like in Egypt, they are very advanced because they were able to like throttle. They had more than one way the internet connected up. So like the one that people used was different than the one the government used to some extent. But yeah, just I think that is definitely a defining thing, I would say, of millennials, more than Gen Xers for sure, and it kind of ties in with the election stuff a little bit. We may cover that a little later, but everyone like assumes millennials are dumb because they don't believe the bullshit that everyone else has believed for a while. And it's because you guys, and I mean I do this too, but somebody says something, you're like, that doesn't sound right. Google.
Where are you getting that
from?
that
you're full of crap. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're uninformed, it's you're too
well informed.
And
and there's too many answers out there. It's overwhelming.
That's true. But I mean, and that I think is a shift in education that has happened somewhat, and maybe needs to happen a little bit more, that to some extent there's no reason to memorize lots of facts and dates and stuff, because you have those at your fingertips. What is much more important is learning how to find information and how to handle it and how to think rather than how to remember.
Yeah, I'm doing like an informative speech for school, and I have to like use our database in our library, and like I don't even know how to do it, and it's super confusing, and no one's ever taught me. Like I've never been taught how to like research. Like for me, researching is like Googling something a bunch of times with a bunch of different like words, like keywords, trying to get stuff to, I don't know, and going through a ridiculous amount of things and not knowing really what's like credible or not. Like I was never really taught how to. That's
probably the most valuable. I mean, it's really fun and interesting for me to have been a history major and like know lots of history, but much more important as a skill was the ability to go through huge amounts of information and pull out the salient important parts.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of just what a lot of history is. And I remember going to get, like, there's librarians. I went, to the UW, and there's all the librarians all over. We have zillions of libraries and everything. So I remember just going up and asking them for like help researching stuff.
Yeah, they love to help you.
Yeah, but I watched how she did it and like how she worked the database and stuff. And after doing that a few times, I kind of started to see, okay, so you're kind of this is the kind of angle you're attacking stuff from.
You gotta use like certain keywords.
Yeah, and like I just heard somebody on some random podcast or something I was listening to talk about their Google skills sucking.
Yeah,
it's like,
I don't even
really
Google
think of it as being a Google skill, but I guess maybe it is. And maybe that's a benefit of having done all that research. Okay, so let's hit back across our tech stuff here real quick, and then we'll move on. Okay. So CRISPR, you find, if you had to give me one sentence.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me think for a sec.
We're on the other ones if those come easier. I think fusion power comes easier.
Designer babies are
That
weird.
was the title of the video, but yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh,
like,
just the idea of them? You really should watch the movie Gattaca if you've never seen that. Yeah.
Okay, well. I thought that was really weird, the whole designer baby thing.
Okay. So that's your takeaway from it?
That's my takeaway, I guess. I don't know. It's just overwhelming.
Okay. I find it awesome in like the old school biblical kind of, just like literally awe, because it's something so powerful.
Yeah, it is like I'm in awe.
Yeah, it could like fix so many of our problems, but create so many new ones too at the same time.
I feel like that's usually like how it works,
Okay, fusion power.
Fusion power. I didn't fully really understand that one either, but I don't know. I think it's crazy. I don't even know like what goes in a bomb.
Oh, well, that was just about those
I know.
The bombs.
But
the bombs
the
are
sun
the
has
least
like
useful.
the sun has the same. The sun has, what is it? Electrons? I don't know. Oh my gosh.
The fusing the hydrogen and the helium and so on and so forth.
I don't know.
All the way up to what, iron? I think. Yeah.
I think I have to know more about science for that one.
Okay. I think it was kind of like the silver bullet potentially, that it again solves so many of our problems and doesn't really create new ones in the process, at least not serious ones. And good excuse for a moon colony potentially.
Yeah, that
any
would
excuse
be cool.
for a moon colony is a good excuse, I think.
I think the moon colony would be awesome.
Unless it's like some horrible military thing, that would be bad. But anything other than that pretty much would be a good. Could put telescopes on the far side.
Yeah, we can't taint the moon with our stupidness.
Oh, we will, one way or another.
I know.
It's inevitable, I think, unfortunately. It's just part of humans. I think we carry our stupidness and our genius all rolled up in one. You can't have one without the other, unfortunately, I don't think.
No, you can't.
Okay, so fusion power is cool. And then what was our last? Oh, and the quantum computer.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I find quite confusing, too. But I do understand Moore's law with, like, where our current tech is going. And I see the end is there. Like, the map to the end of the road.
I didn't even know that, so that's kind of weird for me.
So you know Moore's law at all?
No.
It's basically it states that computing tech, like the average processing power that you can buy for a given price, basically doubles it's a year or 2 years. It's moved around, but it's like, a year, 18 months, something like that, very quickly.
Okay.
And that's been driven by better and better processors, like the nanometers. So like the CPU in my computer right now, I think is 22 nanometer. I believe the video card I just got uses 16 nanometer. The new Intel chips are 14 nanometer, and 5 nanometers, probably as small as it's going to get.
Okay.
So like the end is, a few generations of tech, and we've wrung that out.
Okay.
And quantum computers are the only way we're likely to move past that in the short term. And even though I don't fully understand it, I get that it manipulates the quantum nature to do kind of crazy parallel processing of, instead of just doing the one possibility you want, it does like all of them simultaneously somehow, and then you're able to like parse and use those possibilities. Again, it's super confusing, and I sound stupid even trying to talk about it.
Yeah,
I need a quantum computer specialist.
We need an expert with us.
But okay, so but all added up together, charging to singularity. Are you hopeful or
I'm
pessimistic?
Hopeful. I'm hopeful, and I also just don't really have like high expectations. I don't really have any expectation because I am really overwhelmed by how things could turn out for when I'm older, and I've had a lot of interesting things happen while I've been alive. I've had a black president, and now we have a pervert for president, and think
Probably not the
that's-
first pervert we've had for president,
No,
to be
probably
honest.
not. But I mean, an openly perverted.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay, so now that we're moving in that direction, I kind of wanted to wrap up with May going over some news and may touch even on some
I don't know.
politics.
I don't know a ton about politics, but I'm willing to talk about what I
Okay.
know.
So we've got our Google News here.
Okay, Google News.
Google News. So we can just let that scroll there. So what
Trump
was...
attacks CNN reporter over voter fraud claims.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so we can talk about that real quick. So to be fair, that was, I'm sure, pleasant to look at. Is a little funny because like before the election, Trump was saying it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. And then he wins. And the Democrats who before the election were saying, oh, it's not rigged, oh, shut up. Or like, oh, no, we should recount. And that's fine. I guess if they want to recount, I don't really care. I didn't give them any money to their thing, but
Yeah.
it's in their right and whatever. And I think they should just do it and get it over with, and who knows what happens. But I think it's funny. And I just wonder, I don't know how smart or with it Trump is with this stuff, because I mean, it's possible that it's just really clever. It's like, oh, 3 states you didn't like the outcome, and you're saying it was crap. Well, here's 3 states I didn't like the outcome, and I'm saying it's crap on same level of evidence you're using, which is none, basically.
Yeah, you kind of gotta like get on the same level.
But I think that's probably ascribing a little bit too much. I think I'm ascribing like 3-dimensional chess, and he's just playing checkers. But I don't know. I really don't know. He's unpredictable. He's entertaining, if nothing else.
Yeah, he is entertaining.
So you're slightly too young to have voted this time, right?
I could have voted. I registered to vote, and I registered to vote through someone who's like standing at Safeway, and they were trying to get votes on something.
Oh, okay.
And it was something to do with teachers getting paid more, and I wanted to register to vote anyways, and I just hadn't gotten the chance.
Mm-hmm.
So I stood there and registered, and then I tried to vote, and it never, I guess it just didn't work.
Yeah, okay. So,
Didn't go through. Maybe he decided, fuck the...
Well, definitely get registered for next go round.
Yeah, I will.
There are elections every year, and next year will be hardly anything.
Okay.
The year after that will be the midterms, so the Congress, and then year after, well, we might have a senator next time. I don't remember, to be honest. But definitely register to vote. So if you had voted, who would you have voted for, if you don't mind me asking?
I would have voted for Hillary.
Okay.
I honestly don't know much about Hillary. I know, I feel like I know more about Trump than I know about Hillary.
Okay. That's probably why you would have voted for her. But she won this.
Yeah.
She won Washington by I think 17 points.
Okay.
Let's see. We could probably find that. Who has margins of victory? Oh, I bet Wikipedia has it all now. 2016 election. So I voted for Bernie Sanders.
In the primaries?
In the primaries, yeah, I went to the caucus.
And
I was
then
actually
you
a delegate.
Voted first party?
No, I voted for him as a write-in, and I didn't realize it at the time. And I think I said this last podcast too, but it's important. So if you're in Washington, and you should find out for your own state. Some states don't even allow write-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Some it's basically useless. Here, they just dump all the write-ins in one big pot, and then if that pot is big enough that it could affect the election, then they count them. So my Bernie Sanders vote is just laying in a pile, doing nothing.
Okay.
And I guess I probably should have voted for Jill Stein just because third party and she's better than Gary Johnson, though not great by any means. She was saying really nice stuff about Castro the other day, and it's just like, seemed like most people were freaking. Do you know Fidel Castro?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah, he's been in charge of Cuba forever.
Right.
And was a communist and dictator and everything. And it just seemed like most people were either like, oh, he was like, evil incarnate. Or he was like, oh, he was the champion of anti-American imperialism or what, and it's just, or anti-imperialism. And it was just like, no, it's much more nuanced. But I mean, he was a dictator and he was a bad guy. that did some not horrible
I saw a lot
things.
of people on the internet being like sad about it.
And she was one of the people being like, oh, kind of conciliatory. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't mind offering condolences to his family because, you know, it's a human being who died. You don't throw a party, but he was a bad guy. You can, you know, you don't have to be nice about it.
Right.
So presidential election, I think, for Washington.
Wow.
Yeah. So she won resoundingly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I didn't care who I voted for because it didn't matter.
Yeah, that's why I didn't feel too bad too.
Now, did you watch any of the debates?
I watched one of them.
Between
it was really stupid.
Hillary and Trump?
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the Hillary and Bernie?
No, I didn't.
Or any of the Republican when there was
No,
like
I
18
really didn't.
Republicans?
I really I don't know. I didn't
Okay.
really get into it. I wish I knew
So-
more. I'm sorry.
That's fine. No, I mean, that's why I want to talk to you. I just want to judge it. Just pluck you out of, you know, millenniumdom or whatever we're calling it.
I'm probably like one of the stupider ones, so.
Oh, well, I doubt that, but maybe the average one.
Maybe average, yeah.
So I don't know. I definitely would not have voted for. Well, I don't know. If I'd lived in, or if I did live in a swing state where it really mattered, and I had to just choose, I probably would have voted for Hillary. Probably, but I think she was awful.
Why do you think she was awful? I just want to know.
Well, for a ton of reasons. Generally, why I think she lost the election, just real quick, was it's an anti-establishment, you know, populist type year. That's the feeling, that's the energy of the country at the moment, and she is the most establishment you could possibly be. So that doesn't play well.
Yeah.
She ran a horrible campaign. 2, and 3, it was, I think, both, and they're kind of tied into 2, is her campaign went with this, and I think to some extent there was just kind of a backlash against a lot of the more crazy PC stuff that's going on. That she kind of put herself on their side of stuff, or of things, on issues. But in general, she's a liar, and so's Trump, but like she's better at it. Like Trump is just, I don't even think he's lying. I think he's just saying whatever he feels like, and half the time it's a lie, and half the time it's not.
He's just filterless.
But she's very secretive. That's her, and the people she surrounds her with, that's their initial reflex, is to like hide the truth, to protect, which just I think is not, you know, good.
Always a bad idea.
The fracking, we were talking about fracking a little bit before we started. She pushed that around the world when she was Secretary of State. She voted for the Iraq War. She voted for the Patriot Act, I think. She reversed herself on some when she became senator. She lobbied Bill Clinton when he was president to not sign a bankruptcy bill that was favorable to the banks. And then when she was senator from New York, she flipped and supported it because the banks were, you know, she's just like the bank candidate, another gold. And we ended up with another Goldman Sachs because like the senior advisor to Trump worked at Goldman Sachs. So we didn't get away from it, but yeah, all the speeches for all the money, you know, yeah, I just kind of an awful candidate all around.
Yeah.
And I really liked Bernie. It should have been a clue, like when Bernie was filling stadiums and Trump was filling stadiums and Hillary rallies were like little anemic nothings. Probably should have been a clue.
Yeah,
But,
I feel like Bernie had a lot of changes, and I think a lot of people just don't want to see, I don't know, people just don't like change.
So, are you thinking college and stuff, or?
Yeah, I'm going to Shoreline Community College right now, because I have to.
Okay.
You
You
I
thinking
don't know.
university?
Someone asked me
or?
what I was gonna be when I grew up today.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
And what'd you say?
well, do you want to know like ideally, or do you want to know like
What if
to survive?
you could just pick anything that
If
you
I
wanted
could
to
pick
be,
anything?
and then
Okay.
what you think is the practical thing you should be?
Okay, so ideally, if I could pick whatever career path I wanted, I would. Okay, I have 3 things. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, so 1, an interior designer.
Okay.
2, clothing stylist.
Okay.
So that means dressing people.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, ballerina.
Oh, wow.
Part-time. Part-time.
Okay. So those first 2 were kind of in a similar vein, and then the third one was just kind of like, oh,
yeah,
all right.
I just really like dancing. It makes me happy. It's one of the only ways I've learned I can really feel like I can express myself. It makes me feel better, kind of.
So of your 3 dream ones, it seems like 2 of them are still doable.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
One more than the other, probably, but.
Right. A lot of people have told me that, they're not real jobs.
If people pay you to do it, it's a job.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want people to think poorly about what I do, though. But I don't know. I would love. I just like making things look nice.
Okay.
And I think I'm really good at it, and I like it, and I want to do something I'm good at, and I like, because I want to be happy, and I feel like I won't. I won't be if I'm doing something I hate.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if those are your dream jobs, what is your practical fallback?
My mom was a teacher, and I think that would be cool. I'm really good with kids.
I thought about being did you do those personality survey thing?
Yeah.
And they give you the top 5. I think math and science teacher were both in my top 5, and the other was engineer.
Yeah, I really like math too.
And scientist and something else. I don't remember what the third. Astro or aeronautic something. I don't remember. And just for I ended up in AV tech.
Right.
Which
I think
is
it'd
not
be
quite as cool.
It'd be cool to be a therapist, but I don't know, I've taken psychology and I hated it.
That's fair. I think psychology, with all the technology stuff we're talking about, I think it's about in the next decade or 2, we're going to be able to really start understanding how the brain works, and it will be a lot less guesswork.
Yeah, it's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I maybe a teacher. I really haven't thought about it that much.
So have you thought about universities?
Yeah, I have. I think it'd be cool to go to UW.
UW is pretty cool.
I like Seattle.
Go Huskies.
Yeah.
Totally won the Apple Cup this year. The Cougs can suck it.
Yeah, I saw this girl tweeting on Twitter. She was like, if you go to community college or if you don't go to Wazoo or UW, then you're not entitled to an opinion. It was the stupidest thing, but there was a bunch of people quoting it, just making fun of her, and people are coming up with some really good stuff.
Oh, those are my favorite. They're the people who think they're getting one, the Uber girl, or what? I think it was actually Lyft.
The Lyft girl,
with the hula.
I haven't heard about this.
Oh man, it was hilarious. She's videotaping. Mm-hmm. Basically, she's making this cultural appropriation argument or whatever against this Lyft driver because he has a little hula dancing thing on his dashboard.
Oh my gosh!
And it's just what?
People are so sensitive.
Yeah, and she's got this total Valley Girl voice going on.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of being a real bitch about it, but she's videoing it, thinking oh, I'm so gonna post this and it's gonna go viral.
Did she crash?
What's that?
Did she rear end somebody?
No. She was the passenger.
Oh.
And she was bitching at the guy driving the
my
car
God.
in his own personal car driving Lyft. And she's just kind of bitchy about it, and she's like, I'm gonna post this on Gawker. And it's Gawker was gone by that point, so it's she
what
doesn't
is Gawker? I don't even know.
There's a website that got sued into oblivion, but did lots of gossipy type whatever. And
not Gawker.
So she's taking the video thinking that she's gonna be oh, look at me, I'm so cool. And it gets posted, and everybody's like, "Man, what a bitch!" And he ends up kicking her out of the car, effectively.
Yeah. Oh my God. Good.
It's I'm gonna end this ride right here and let you off on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
and it's hilarious. You should look it up.
I will.
At some point.
I'll just Google it.
There you go. So, okay, as somebody that's potentially entering university soonish, I wanted to get your take on this story here.
Okay.
So, This is at Tufts University, student government free speech resolution, harmful, unsafe.
Okay.
So they were basically, so student government voted down the resolution 260 asking administration to clarify whether the institution's commitment to free speech is in conflict with its policies forbidding sex jokes. So
what is their commitment to free speech?
Let's see. Well, I mean, in general, that it's a good thing.
People have free speech there.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the crux of it, is that's why this, and they voted down for a variety of reasons, but some of the people were saying, where is it?
So they said, no, it's not in conflict with sex jokes.
Well, this one is the student government voted down the resolution asking the administrators to clarify. So they decided not to ask the administration to clarify. So right now the administration basically says free speech is good, but you can't make jokes and stuff that might hurt people's feelings, basically.
Okay, well, that's kind of hard.
Yeah, exactly. And so this guy who wasn't on the student council put forth this resolution for them to vote on, to ask the administration to clarify those two mutually.
They could at least just clarify.
Yeah, but they decided not to. So here we go. 50% of the students on this campus are not from America, and the other countries with free speech issues, and some countries handle them better than America. Show me that country, please. I don't believe that, said one member of the Tufts University Senate. I think saying the First Amendment rights, best kind of rights, is not okay. Which is not really a grammatically correct sentence, but I completely disagree. I think First Amendment rights are arguably the most important rights. And I might be an asshole if I say stuff to hurt your feelings, but nobody has a right not to be offended, but I do have a right to say almost anything I damn well please. So how do you,
Well, I mean, no one can force you to feel any certain way. You interpret.
That's very good. There's Eleanor Roosevelt?
Yes.
She has a great quote. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
That's true.
Which I think is it's kind of stoic. I like it.
Yeah. It's like we make everything mean everything. Like there was no name for a chair until someone came up with it. And I don't know, you see it and you can, if you didn't know what a chair was, you would see it and you would kind of come up with some kind of interpretation. But it's always going to be different based on who you are and what's all happened to you, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I'm not sure what you mean by that. I agree, but I'm not sure what you mean.
You can always...
in regards to this.
I don't know. My mom, my mom does Landmark Forum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of that is about...
Okay.
A lot of that is about, just meanings and interpretation is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm taking communications class right now. So we're learning a lot about that. But no, I think that I don't like it when people say mean things, but you can do whatever you want as long as you're not, crazy.
So you would believe sticks and stones?
Yeah.
So you know what that is. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
That's still in people's heads? They're just actively forgetting it when they're getting all butthurt about nonsense?
Yeah, it's hard to remember. And some people just take things more personally than others. And some people are better. But
so
no,
do you
I
think
that
safe spaces and trigger warnings and microaggressions are all real things
No, I think that's stupid, and I think that people are so nitpicky with everything, and I hate having to feel intimidated to say something because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, because there's so many different people out there and you're bound to hurt some people's feelings. And even if you do say something, you could have not intended to hurt someone's feelings at all, but their feelings could be hurt,
And then if they tell you and you didn't mean to do it, you'll probably apologize, and you'll both, one of you will learn something, and the other one will have the joy of
that's too bad. Either they're better off without you, or maybe they shouldn't have done one.
And if they don't care, then maybe you decide they're a jerk and you just don't hang out with them. You can always go somewhere else.
Yeah. No, it's up to the person, how they interpret something like that.
What about no platforming? Are you familiar
with?
What's that? That's where they're protesting speakers on campuses because they don't like what they have to say. So they're they just protest and try and get all canceled and thrown out.
Speakers? Like college professors?
Sometimes they're just other people
Who speak at the college?
Journalists or authors or whatever.
I don't know. I think that, like, just because they don't like what they're saying.
Yeah. So to take a super extreme example, and this is where it kind of happened in the past sometimes, and people were kind of generally okay with it, even though on principle a lot of people were like, but like Holocaust deniers. People would be like, we just don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hear that either.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like free speech, you know. Now
yeah,
that is
I think
so
that people should just
blatantly counterfactual that it's kind of like, is that really going to be useful? But if it's just different political views, like the whole Trigglypuff.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh man! All right, that one we should look up real quick, just because it's hilarious. Trigglypuff.
I don't know. I feel like people should just know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, and just fucking.
Well, but what? Who says?
The adults. Why is she freaking out?
So it was Milo Yiannopoulos was at a campus, and she was freaking out, going like that, and it was like, "Get your hate speech off our campus, keep it something," you know. And it's just like, okay, I find Milo Yiannopoulos entertaining. I think he's wrong about most things.
Oh, this is Andy Milonakis?
What's that?
Do you say it's Andy? Oh, it
Milo Yiannopoulos.
It kind of looks like him. Kind of looks like
Oh, this
Andy.
is a her. This is the Trigglypuff.
Oh, God. Okay, well, now I feel rude. Okay, continue.
So inadvertently hilarious. Oh, okay. You know what's really creepy? I tweeted those two things the other day, and
they
somehow
know what you
now,
want. They know what they are targeting you.
like those two exact items.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
smart.
kind of freaky.
Yeah, it's
Skynet
freaky.
is watching.
Yeah.
I do
They
joke.
know you.
I have this pair of Bluetooth
Yeah.
thing, and somebody was asking, "Oh, what's that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's my Skynet slave collar." No, just joking.
Oh my gosh, who did you say that to?
I
That's
don't
so
know.
funny. Just a stranger?
No, somebody at work.
Oh, okay. That would be funny if
It
it
was
was
even
like
funnier,
just
I guess.
someone you didn't know.
I don't usually talk that strangely to strangers. But yeah, it is kind of, I remember like I was going somewhere to a friend's house by a completely random route. And like it figured out where I was going. It was just in some way, it just presented this flood of information and maps and everything. It's so perfectly matched exactly what I was doing there, but completely unprompted other than just knowing where I was. It was just kind of like, oh, thank you. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I've had like my phone, I'll like swipe down on my notification bar or whatever, and I go to his house so much, and it'll be like, I think that it thinks that Nate's house is my house because I'm over there like more than I am. So it'll be like,
It assumes that's home.
it'll be like, it will take you this many minutes to get to his address.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I went to Ballard High School, I would do the same thing. And
So do you find that on balance more creepy or useful?
I mean, it's useful, I guess, if I'm going there and I just want to be like, oh, cool. Now I know.
What I find amusing is people back in, like say the 60s, when everything was about the future. I mean, because we were going to the moon and all, technology was advancing and all the stuff after World War II and everything. But you had these like videos they make, like the house of the future, where you walk in and it just starts doing everything for you. It's like already cooking dinner when you walk in.
Yeah, what's that one movie where they win the house and it's like a robot house?
I'm not sure.
And they throw a party in it. And
I don't know.
Interesting. They like trash the house and the dad's gone and then the house like absorbs. It's like commencing cleanup. And then it like absorbs all the trash into the floors and like saves the day and they don't get grounded.
Is this like a cartoon or something? Or?
No, it's just like a
like some short movie.
There's some movie from like the early 2000s that
it's not ringing any bells.
I don't know. I'll try and look it up.
I lost my train. Oh, so I just think it's amusing because that was like it was like a flying car type aspirational thing for the future.
Yeah.
And now we're getting close to everything doing that. and it's happening differently, and everybody's freaking out. It's like, my phone knows everything about me. It's like, well, how do you expect it to have the lights turned on and the chicken basting in the oven if it doesn't know everything about you? It's like that idyllic vision of the future was based on something other than you knowing everything about you, so that it could usher all the stuff in front of you. Yeah. And now that's starting to happen, and people are like, freaking out about it. Yeah. And it's like, well, how did you expect it to work?
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay. So, it's been interesting. So not all millennials are whiny little pampered special snowflakes. That's good to know.
I try not to be.
No, that's good.
I try not to be.
Those people look silly.
Yeah.
And I think that Trump being elected probably won't help the whole PC. I think that's one silver lining, is that I think PC culture has taken a big, huge knock in the teeth.
Yeah, I know a lot of smart people my age.
Cool.
And even if they don't know a ton about everything you've been talking about today, like I don't.
So just like, what's something you think you know a lot about that I don't? And it could be anything. It could be books you like, or some random thing you learned, or I don't know.
Clothes, probably.
Clothes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clothes, hair dye, shoes. No.
I don't know much about those things. That's true.
Clothes, hair dye. What's something I know a lot about? It's like one of those questions where it's like there's so many things. How do you know what you know? Yeah. It's like yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of stuff about like landmark form and all that since my
I looked
mom.
into that. Yeah. I decided not to do it.
Yeah. I think it's like real helpful stuff, but kind of was like, I don't know, it wasn't a waste of time, but it's just boring.
It seemed like they were very intent on kind of breaking you down before building you back up to some extent. And
yeah, I guess.
Kind of a communal conformity type vibe.
I don't know. There's a few things I agree with. Like, it has a lot to do with integrity. I think integrity is good. Like, doing what you say you're going to do, and then if you don't, going back and fixing that and, like, taking responsibility for it. Just because personally, like, I try not to lie or make agreements that I can't hold up because it makes me feel bad.
I don't think of it in those terms necessarily. I try and be principled.
Yeah.
And kind of loop it back. I mean, the politics a little bit. I think people are way too prone to just pick a side, and then whether it's Democrat or Republican or whatever, and just kind of run with that instead of having principles that they decide. I mean, really, you should never agree with any politician 100%.
No, you're never going to get everything you want.
Yeah, so anyone who defends 100% of what any politician says, you can just discount. It's like, oh, you're just on Team Trump, or you're just on Team Hillary. Yeah. And you've abandoned reason. Yeah. You don't care about your principles. You've hitched your horse to that wagon, and that's where your wagon to that horse, I guess. And that's the way you're going.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be something I would aspire to see spread more, is people going back to not just deciding what you believe and then sticking with it, but actually examining why you believe what you believe and getting it to the underpinnings of it, so that when something new comes along, you don't just knee-jerk respond the way that your team does. You actually take a look at it and be like, oh no. So, and I've done that with a variety of things. Like, I remember thinking years ago, like Afghanistan and whatnot, back, before all the invasion and the terrorism stuff. So back, in the 90s, say, thinking, oh, that's just a different culture. I guess it's okay. So they treat women horribly, but that's like their culture. So we have to respect it. And it's like, no, fuck that. Some cultures are crappier than others in very important ways. And, not to say that they haven't, and it's cyclical too. Like, back when Europe was a bunch of, down-fallen empire trotting, idiots, basically, the Muslim world was keeping all kinds of science and knowledge alive. And now, they're being dumb. But Christianity's been dumb. I mean, everybody takes their turn.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to have principles, so that when your team starts to shift in the wrong direction, you can tack against that and stand your ground.
Yeah.
And if you're not staked into the ground with your principles, you could end up anywhere, man.
Oh, it's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we can kind of wrap up. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been fun.
Very fun.
All right. Well, I guess
this is my first interview ever, just by the way.
In any context at all.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think you were well spoken.
Thanks.
And
maybe my second one will go better.
Oh yeah, we can do more. I mean, I'm gonna try and do one a week, which I think is a little ambitious.
You should interview Pat. You should try. I think that would be a good interview.
It'd be an interesting interview.
I'd like to see his brain picked.
Okay. I hadn't actually thought of that specifically. Really? Grant or Gigi, yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be so interesting.
Yeah, get one of those greatest generations in the chair and be like, "So why are you so awesome and everyone else sucks so bad?
What makes you special?" Yeah, well, she is so awesome.
That's true.
How is she so awesome? I don't even understand.
I don't know. She's like one of the greatest of the greatest. Just for still being around. I mean, crap.
And being so amazing and just such a good person and like.
So you didn't really know her parents?
No.
Yeah, that was like talking to great grandparents.
Right.
Like knowing my great grandparents was really like you have that chance now. Is
what were they like? I mean, how was she like raised?
Well, that and they moved from Pennsylvania over here, and we're up north. So I think they escaped some of the worst of the Depression stuff, but I don't think it was quite as bad up in Washington, just because it was like a newer area, or I don't know. I'll have to talk to her. And I think that her mom was just really good with money and was very frugal and whatnot.
She seems frugal as well.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, and I think that comes from growing up in a time when things were a type of rough that we have no real conception.
Yeah.
Like, the Great Recession. It was like, really? That there weren't like bread lines and people like starving and like unemployment, and the Dust Bowl was happening then too. So like the entire middle of the country was just dust and dirt and couldn't grow crops. It was awful, awful, awful.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that thinks that their cushy, happy American life now, I mean, in super poor areas in this country, but anybody that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, I think, has deluded themselves if they think that their life is as bad or as hard as people that are still alive now in this country.
Yeah.
But I remember talking with her mom Bowie about like the Titanic sinking. She remembered the Titanic sinking.
Hey, that's just
she
crazy.
Was like 10 or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've seen that picture of Bowie.
Yeah.
I think you know the one I'm talking about.
In the dining room. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a really cool thing. And I mean, people are living longer, so more people will have that chance, I guess, statistically speaking, moving ahead. But to actually know and speak and pick the brain of somebody that lived, now was born well over a century ago.
Yeah, I think Gigi would be a very
born before there were airplanes. Well, Gigi wasn't, but her parents, there were no airplanes when they were born. They hadn't been invented yet. And in their lifetime, they went from no airplanes to walking on the moon to the internet.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes me think it's gonna be.
There wasn't even TV or anything.
Yeah, that's so weird that all of that stuff came before TV.
Yeah, TV. When was TV? And when it was invented and when it took hold was not necessarily exactly the same.
Now we have Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, now TV is dying. We keep calling it TV though. It's
I know.
Less and less TV all the time.
I always say I watch TV, but I watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, HBO are like the new network. YouTube, definitely. Are the new networks instead of ABC, NBC, CBS.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Okay.
I think that's kind of a natural place to end. So,
Yes,
and you'll help me lobby these other people to come on.
I will.
All right.
I will.
So we can do we can hit one from each generation maybe.
Yeah.
We have so many.
I'll go give Pat some shit about it when I get home. He'll probably just not say anything.
Probably. All right. Well, thanks for coming. This has been episode 2 of the real Ramble, and Ramble we did.
Yes, thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure.